Welcome, Division Agents, to the 1.7 review. Today, I'm going to review the 1.7 patch for the Division and let you know if it is worth your time and effort, or you should skip it and take it directly to the trash bin. Let's get into it. The Division 1.7 is supposed to be the revival that brings fresh new content back to the Division by adding global event modifiers to certain areas of the game. You collect global event tokens by completing global event tasks. You can then trade those tokens for caches containing the possibility of getting a classified piece of either Deadeye, Lone Star, or Final Measure. The drop rate for these, I feel, is actually set at a good rate and makes for an enjoyable and forgiving experience when RNG decides to shit on you. This only happens on occasion as classified gear sets give you the ability to reroll two different items on one piece of gear instead of the normal one, making RNG that much more forgiving this time around. There are certain areas of the map right now that contain flashing purple areas and can be used to gain tokens for these caches. The modifiers add to the difficulty of the mission, changing the way it plays and giving each mission a fresh new feel to it. Some of the layout and character placements of NPCs and enemies will surprise even the most staunch veteran of the game. However, after going through one or two missions and dying because the enemies run up on you, you feel like throwing this out the window. That is until you realize that global events are, well, global. You don't need to do any of the flashing purple missions, and the only reason to do them is to get yourself a nifty commendation for doing the full playset. There's no extra reward or incentive for doing these missions aside from a few hundred extra tokens. In fact, running them on World Tier 1 and getting the commendation is actually much easier to do and faster, so if you'd like that commendation, I would suggest running it on World Tier 1 to get it out of the way. Once you've ran through that, then the real grind begins as you try to revisit some of the same old haunts that you've been working through, such as Lexington to get Barrett's chest piece, as you realize grinding away for better gear is much more of an incentive this time around than grinding a longer and harder mission just because it's different. Just set Lexington Event Center to challenging and watch the gear pieces roll in. You can also get gear GE tokens by clearing landmarks in the DZ, opening last stand catches, and doing HVTs outside of the normal missions you are running. This, in my opinion, completely destroys anything 1.7 was trying to be. Why have special missions if there isn't any incentive to do them? I believe it was The Incredibles, the movie, that coined the phrase, "When everybody's super, no one will be." So that goes for this. So now it's just a patch with new effects and a different way to get gear. This made me extremely sad and disappointed. If that isn't enough, the global events aren't even going to be a permanent placement in the game. They will come and go as events, and with each event will come new gear sets, but they are only going to happen every once in a while when Massive decides when they want to do it, and they can decide how long they do it for as well. So when the global events are over, we go back to what the game was with 1.6.1, except with a slight chance of getting classified gear sets dropping at a rate of the exotics that are there. 1.7 should have been called 1.6.2 or even 1.6.5 because at the end of the day, you added a few pieces of content, you added some gear, you put a time limit on them, and then you took away any incentive to actually run the new content because it's not the most efficient way of getting global event tokens, which is the main incentive in the first place to even have this 1.7 patch drop. It was supposed to be new and exciting, however, it has turned into dull and boring because you're just going to run the same missions that you've been running over and over again because they're much more efficient to do this than going through and doing the flashing purple areas. The premium vendor is now selling encrypted gambling caches that people were upset about this a few weeks ago, and if you watched my stream, I completely broke the game while it dispensed me unlimited caches over the course of a few hours. With this, I got a good handle on the cost and the contents that dropped inside of these caches. I do have to say, if anything, that the one thing I am most impressed with is the new clothing. The new clothing is great and completely free. Free in the sense that keys and key fragments drop at such a high rate, most people will have 75% of the items in the loot table before they even have to consider purchasing premium credits. This removes the gambling issue from the game as the drop rates are high enough that only the more impatient players will give up and purchase premium credits. There are new leaderboards, and the leaderboard right now is the biggest issue with the game. The way it works is that the game records your best 60 seconds of grinding out tokens and puts you on the leaderboard. This is great because if you have an hour to play, you should be be able to get somewhere on the leaderboards. This makes it accessible to everyone, from the most casual to the most hardcore player. If you have an hour, you can get on the leaderboard. However, it is also a point of contention. While they provide a way to challenge yourself to do better, it is also a way to promote glitching and exploiting of certain missions for getting to the top spots on the leaderboard. These people are easily identified by looking at the leaderboard and realizing it is impossible to run missions legitly and get such a high number. If you want to get a legit score on the leaderboard, my suggestion is to play the Last Stand and get as many Last Stand crates as you can, then run Lexington for 50 minutes. At the end, open up all of your Last Stand crates and you'll get a pretty great score on the leaderboard, as somehow opening Last Stand crates gives you GE tokens. Why not? Breathing at this point gives you some sort of GE token in the game. At the end of the day, this is no more an update than many of the other pieces that came before it. If you enjoy a new incentive such as new gear, you may want to pop this back on and give it a try. If new content is all you want, then it is possible that some of the regular missions that have the purple glowy thing around it with the mission modifiers active will give you what you're looking for. However, if new story content is what you're after, I have to say this is not the update for you. The content does feel fresh, but after so many hours of grinding and getting gear, you'll find yourself right back where you started, bored and unimpressed with the game. And the players that will, that are there will leave again. So it's still fun to run around New York, and this patch offers a few new items with a very small payout. When global events stop though, so will most of the players that came back, because without global events, this is really just a nerf version of 1.6.1. Well, that's my review. I'm still playing 1.7. I do enjoy it. It is pretty fun because I do enjoy the new content, and I do enjoy running those missions because they are different. They actually made it so that the NPCs and enemies and stuff come out at different times, and there are different challenges and stuff. But I would love to hear from you what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Leave your comments down in the comment section. If you liked today's video, please hit that like button. It helps us out by boosting our content, and subscribe to our channel for more of this type of content. Thank you very much for stopping by and listening to this spiel of my review of 1.7. If I missed anything, please let me know and I will try to review it for you down in the bottom. I haven't got all the classified gear sets, so I will review those separately once I get them, and we'll just go from there. So for all of us here at Gun Brothers Gaming, I'm Mountie Carl, and we'll leave the light on for you.